Welcome to issue number 5 of Sabretooth and the Exiles, title Creed vs. Creed. And before I get started, if you don't mind, can you please leave a like and comment on the video to help the channel grow. So with that said, up to this point, Sabretooth and the Exiles were able to free thousands of prisoners from an orchestration. But that victory was short-lived, as the Exiles and former prisoners were captured by a powerful infant subject of Orcus and dragged to their undersea Station 4. While Sabretooth was taken to Station 5 to come face-to-face with the general contractor behind the prisons, which so happened to end up being his own son Graydon Creed. So with that said, this issue opens with Sabretooth getting the crap beat out of him by his son. For Graydon Creed asked his father if he has ever been scared or if he has ever truly been hurt. Because if he hasn't, it would make it easy to be fearless when you already know you can't die. But due to his weakened state, Sabretooth must be feeling his own mortality. So with disgust, Graydon tosses his father's bloody body on the floor as he promises to send his father to hell. On a side note, this is a reference to back when a good Sabretooth sacrifices humanity to bring his son back from hell in issue number 27 of Weapon X. But due to the nature of the deal, his mind was erased to ensure he doesn't remember. But getting back to the beat down, a brutal Graydon shatters Sabretooth's ankle with a single stomp as he promises to break him piece by piece. But before he could do so, an alarm goes off as a threat makes its way to his location. Now at first, Sabretooth was under the assumption that the Exiles were coming to save the day. But he couldn't be farther from the truth, because several variants of himself came crashing through a wall. The variants that came to attack Graydon were from Earth 203, which was the Sentinel of Rough Justice, Earth 12, which was the baddest of the bad boy celebrities, and Earth 1912, which was the Savage Sabretooth, which I think is pretty awesome, that a team of Sabretooth is teaming up to stop Graydon's extermination. So as they entered the room, the squad began to attack Graydon, but before they could seal the deal, the general contractor was able to escape using a smokescreen. So with all this going down, our Creed get a message from Third Eye asking for help down in Station 4, which Victor Creed responds by saying he can't help the Exiles, especially because he is currently unable to move his legs or arms. So with that bad news, we hop over to Station 4 where we see the Exiles in a crazy situation, because Orcus thought it would be a great idea to experiment on extremely powerful babies with the X gene. Because generally the X gene is activated after puberty, but due to research like the one Dr. Barrington conducted, they found a way to activate the gene while the subjects were still infants. Which is a crazy concept, because due to mistreatment as well as human nature, the babies are now lashing out at any adult that comes next to them. Because due to all the experiments, the babies made a correlation between adults and pain. And to add insult to injury, because they are babies, they are unable to control their abilities. So with the team running out of ideas, Nanny comes up with a plan. But in order to pull it off, everyone would have to trust her. So with that going on, we jump back over to Station 5 where our Victor Creed still lays completely defenseless on the floor talking to his variants. And here is where we get some information on why our Sabretooth is unable to heal. And that is because of a small device that is implanted within his body by the name Barrington Coil. So with this info, Creed asks his variants to remove it for him, in which they question if they even should be helping him, due to him being the reason for Graydon doing any of this. But after promising to fix his mistake, the Savage Sabretooth rips the coil from his body and left him to heal on his own. For if he is too weak to heal from his injuries, then he is too weak to be a Sabretooth. So due to the variants being distracted with our Victor, Graydon was able to make it to a mysterious room. A room full of all the Sabretooth bodies he has killed across the multiverse. For with these bodies and the help of Dr. Barrington, he was able to create an army of corpses that would do whatever he wants. So as he musters his forces, we skip back over to the Exiles and Nanny's plan over on Station 4. And I have to say, Nanny's plan is one that indeed requires a lot of trust, because she wants to regress everyone's minds back to when they were babies so the real babies see them as one of their own, and then pray that Nanny returns them back to their regular state of mind once everything is over. So after a lot of hesitation, the group eventually allows her to do so. So with everyone brought back to an infant state of mind, the babies power down their powers, leaving Nanny in charge. Which could be a big mistake, because Nanny always has a secondary plan, a plan she did not disclose to the team. So with Nanny's potential up to no good, we skip back over to Station 5 where the variants run through the halls, but not toward Graydon, but toward his lab. Because the Captain America version of Sabretooth was tracking the device that brought them all there. So as he turns on the device, a wave of Sabretooth crash into the room at Graydon's command. And just like that, the variants were completely overrun. So when all hope seems lost, our victor Creed blindsides Graydon, knocking his controller off his suite. Now with the remote in his hand, Sabretooth proceeds to destroy it, disabling all the corpses. So with Graydon on his own, Sabretooth pushes his son into the device. The same device that was supposed to be used to take the other variants home. So because of that, we have no idea where in the multiverse he landed. But one thing we know for sure is that Graydon would stop at nothing to return. So with the fight finished, for now, our Sabretooth offers his variants a proposal. But before we get that information, we skip back over to the Exiles. And when we get there, we see that everyone had made it back to the surface with the expectation of Nanny and Orphan Maker. Because after Nanny honored her promise to the team and returned their minds to the proper age, she decided to stay at Station 4. And according to Third Eye, it doesn't take a psychic to know why. Because Nanny now has 6 powerful mutant babies to raise as she sees fit. Which isn't a comforting thought, knowing how Nanny is. But anyway, getting back to the team, Necra pledges to all on the ship that her and the rest of the Exiles will keep them safe. And if Creed ever returns back to the ship for the kids, then she would use the death seed on him. For that tiny skull is Krakoa's final punishment for him. And as for Dr. Barrington and the creation, they made their way to the plateau of Lang, Antarctica, so she can master an older form of science before they face their enemies again. Because these two are finished trying to be a part of Orcus for good. So with everyone retreating to their own corners, we skip back over to Creed and his variants. For Sabretooth has finally found a team he could respect made up of me, myself, and I. And their first order of business is to pay a friend a visit on his birthday back in Krakoa. And if I was a betting man, I would say that friend is Wolverine. Because for as long as those two had a rivalry, Sabretooth has attacked him every year on his birthday. So with that said, this issue comes to an end.